In this episode, guys, we'll be doing a mechatronic swap on my 2024 Audi A3. Now, if you guys are not familiar with the Mark 8 platform, the TCUs are not tunable. It is still locked on the 2023 and up vehicles. So mine being a 2024, we're not able to tune the TCU because of the updated 401 bootloader. Now, what that means is the only way you can tune this car is to do a mechatronic swap, which is what we'll be doing in this video. And at the very end, I'll go ahead and give it a test drive and give you my overall thoughts and opinions. Now, this isn't supposed to be a full-on step-by-step process. However, it's more of a guide. These are the things that I went through during this process and how it worked out for me. To kind of give you some tips and tricks here and there, and also just show you what this overall process looks like and what to expect. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in the video. All right, and we're gonna start here underneath the vehicle. We got it all jacked up and everything, and we're going to use our breaker bar. You don't necessarily need a breaker bar. I just use them because it had the size for this Allen key right here. And we're going to break this loose. Once you break it off, you can just unscrew it by hand. It's fairly easy. But you can see this car it's fairly new. We've got about 10k miles, or give or take. So the transmission fluid is on the lighter side. Doesn't necessarily need a DSG flush or anything like that, but for the purpose of this swap, we have to drain the full oil and give it a few minutes, guys. It's a slow drain process. Just let everything come out. You'll start to see it start to slow down there and starts to trickle down without the transmission oil. So now that you have that first piece off, you can see it kind of slowed down right here. We still have our drain pan underneath. Now let's use a smaller Allen key. I think this is like an 8mm or so. We're gonna put it in there, and you can unscrew this piece by hand. It is a plastic screw that's in there. And I'm doing this by hand here. You can see it comes right out. Now, the moment you pull this out, you'll see right now we're gonna get a lot more oil come out. So be ready for that. Now my plastic plug fell into the bottle there, so we're gonna get that cleaned up, but kind of showing you what that looks like here. Now you let it drain for a few minutes again. Same thing, you're going to see it trickle down a little bit. Once you do that, we're gonna go ahead and look at the mechatronics drain plug. It's on the side, right next to the transmission pan, right there. Now you gotta crack that loose. Once you crack it loose, same thing, you can do it by hand. I also just use this extension piece to have a better camera view for you guys. And then I took it off by hand here very carefully. Now when you take this off, my recommendation, do not take it off all the way. You can see my hand is still blocking the camera view because my hand is pressed up against that port right there. If you remove your hand, it's going to gush out a lot of fluid. It's going to make a big mess. So I kept my hand right there until it kind of trickled down a little bit. And then I let it all go, and you can see all the remaining fluid just drain out into the drain pan right there. You can see. So also another thing, guys, make sure you have a lot of gloves handy, or some high quality gloves. I just used some standard generic gloves, and they started to rip throughout this process, so I had to use a lot of gloves. But you'll see me rip off some gloves, and I'll swap and put some new gloves on. Same thing. Now what we're doing here is on the actual mechatronics pan, we're going to move these two bolts here, these two nuts. There's one at the bottom and one at the top. These are just your standard 10mm. And I removed it by hand. Fairly simple. We want to take off this silver bracket piece off right here. So we're going to move that out of place. Just kind of have to bend it out of place a little bit. You want to get it off of those two mounting stud pieces right there. Now once you do that, at the very top you want to disconnect your a little like electronic connector sensor for the DSG, and just kind of tuck it away to the side. Here's a top view of what I did. So on that little hand, I pushed over to the left, that unlatched it, and then you can just pull it right out. Just pull it back towards the front bumper of the car. You can see what that plug looks like. Fairly simple to do. You just want to tuck it away into a different spot there, so it's not getting in your way later on. We don't want to get any fluid on that. Now it's time to remove the actual oil pan itself, it's held in by 4 bolts, 4 screws. We're starting off with the bottom left. We did the bottom right. I don't think I did this. I think I did it diagonally. I started with the bottom left and then top and then bottom again and then top. But you can kind of see I took them all off right here. And you'll start to see more fluid just kind of ooze off from the bottom right there. And you kind of just have to finesse this out. Kind of wiggle the bottom, wiggle the top, just kind of get it off of the sealed gasket that's kind of holding it in place. And we just want to pull that out. I pulled it out from the bottom. I thought that was the easier way to do it. More clearance. And here we have our mech unit, guys. Take a look at that. So that black piece, that's our bootloader. We need to remove that. So we need to remove the whole mech. So it's held in by 9 screws all around. Took off the 9 screws here and pull that off. And man, there's a lot more oil just all up in there. So make sure you have your drain pan ready. I kind of tilted it to the side a little bit just to remove a bunch of oil. And the mech unit itself is actually heavier than I expected, so just be aware of that. You're crawling underneath the car, you're on jack stands and whatnot, so just be aware of all of that. Now look at this. We have our actual new bootloader. This is from Tunezilla. Now this is coded for my Audi A3. So you can see what that looks like right there. This is what we will be swapping into the mech right there. That's just out of focus on the camera there, but here's another side view right here. You can take a look at that. This plastic piece, I mean, it's fairly light. It's just the metal portion that's underneath that it snaps onto. So to remove this, we got 4 screws. You'll see that right there, 1, 2, 3. And then one thing to note, there's a long screw, there's a short screw, so be aware of that when you remove the top and the bottom. Make sure you remember where those screws go. Now you want to remove this metal plate right here. I think this is like the pressure clipper plate or something like that. We're going to put that to the side for now. And then before we move on, let's take a look at the actual new mech unit so I can show you what we're looking for here. There's these 2 tabs, one on the left, one on the right. Essentially, we want to pop those out of place on our existing mech unit. That way we can pull off the full thing. Now that we have our 4 screws off, this is what we're looking for. So you just kind of want to pop those out of place right there. You kind of see I did it right here. So let's go ahead and attempt that. I got a little zoomed in view here. So pop it from the left, pop it from the right. It's a little of a tricky process. Just take your time with this. You don't want to break anything. So you see I popped it off from the right side. I got to pop it off from the left side. Took a few minutes to kind of get this right. I didn't want to snap anything off. Now once you pop that off, you can kind of see it start to slide up off of that silver post right there. So you can see right there, right? We popped it up. And now it's actually off now that we slid it all the way up. And now that we slid it up, we want to tilt it back. You can see it's free from the metal mounting post on that left side right there. And now we can remove the bottom portion, these the little pins that it's held on with. You can take it off from the right side, the left side. Go side by side, guys. Take your time with this. Again, you don't want to break anything, but here it is. It is free. There's a bunch of oil on this, so again, make sure you have some gloves handy, some good gloves. And we're gonna put in our new mech unit. You can see it's a lot more dry. Gonna snap that in place with the pins first, and then we're gonna go ahead and mount it into that metal piece right there on the right side. You can kind of see that metal post. Once we get that on there, we're gonna slide it straight down. There you go, take a look at that. Right there, we slide it down, perfect. Now it snaps into place. That's what we wanna see. Next thing, we want to remove our rubber grommets right here from the old bootloader. Just pop those off with a 90-degree pick. Super simple, guys. And then you're going to place them on your new unlocked and flashed bootloader. Let's take off the 3rd one. Put that in place. And then the last one, that 4th one, oops, slipped off. Put that in place. Very, very cool. Now we want to bring that metal bracket piece again back on. This is how you mount it. You kind of want to slide it in from the right side first, because as you can see I'm doing right there. And then that top middle portion, you just want to make sure that goes underneath the little mounting tab as well. So start from the right side, and then it should just kind of snap in place right there. There you go. You can see it in place. You can see that right there. Looking real good. And now we want to put our 2 screws back in. I did this piece by hand. You can get that second screw right there. Just kind of hold this bracket in place. Very cool. Now we do the other 2 at the bottom. Get those nice and snug. All right. Now a lot of these torque specs for this swap will be on your instructions list from whichever company you purchased this mech from. So I won't necessarily go into full depth about those, but it's time to put it all back in. Now my camera battery died, so I'm just showing you some reversal clips. This is when I originally took it out, where I'm just playing that in reverse for reference. So you're gonna put that whole piece back in. There's a particular order for those 9 screws that you took off. I'll post a screenshot of the order you're supposed to torque them back down by. Make sure you follow that. The one part that was slightly tricky in this is when I was putting back in the oil, I use a DSG funnel kit that I bought off of Amazon. I'll link it in the description below. When you refill the oil, guys, if you're not pressurizing it, one tip I would give is to make sure you have constant oil in that funnel, and that funnel doesn't empty out, because once it empties out, you're going to get air gaps in your funnel hose, and that's just going to slow down the entire process for the DSG to get refilled. So I was right next to it, very attentive the whole entire time. I had all 6 quarts right next to me ready to go, and every time the funnel would get low, top it back off every single time. I wouldn't even let it get super low. If it gets halfway, I'll top it back up to full. And I just held this up by zip ties on the hood here. Very ghetto, but hey, it did the job, and that helped out a lot. Refilling the DSG itself didn't take too much time, again, because I didn't allow any air bubbles to get in there. If you get air bubbles in there, it could take up to an hour, some people have said. So something to keep in mind. If you have a friend or someone like a helper, this process would be a little bit easier, because someone can hold it, someone can refill it, etc. So something to keep in mind. And then when you refill it, there's this whole thing about the plastic drain plug. You're supposed to unscrew it 2 turns, and then you're supposed to do the adaptation and relearn and all that. I won't get too much in the specifics of that, guys. It's kind of subjective. Some people say you don't need to do it. Now for this last piece, I would say just, you know, do it your own way. Either you can keep it filled up and, you know, keep it fully topped off like some dealerships say that they do, or you can back it out 2 turns. I backed it out 2 turns, release a little bit extra oil. Now one thing, guys, is you'll know you did this job successfully and you have a tuned TCU, because when you drop it in gear, it's now going to show DNS mode with a number right next to it. Anyways, now that we've finished up the install, let's go ahead and take this for a drive and can give you guys my overall thoughts and impressions on it. All right, guys, so TCU swap on the A3. How does it feel? How does it drive? Overall first impressions, I took the first 10 to 15 miles or so very, very lightly. Didn't really do too much crazy pulls or anything like that. Now, what I did notice right off the bat is that the clutch engagement felt a little bit more eager, a little bit sharper. So just releasing your foot off of the brake and just feeling like the car starts to inch forward, that I felt like that kicked in a little bit sooner without even applying any gas. It felt a little bit eager, like off the line. The shifting itself, it didn't seem, maybe like just like a tad quicker, but it didn't seem all that drastic, again, in normal driving. When it comes to the actual like shift feel, it just felt soft. I don't know, it's like shifting on pillows. Like it's nothing crazy. Not much of a difference, very, very minuscule. Now, after the first 10 to 15 miles or so, I kind of got a little bit eager. So I started to introduce some mixed driving, where I would drive normally, and then here and there I'll kind of get on a little bit and then get off. What I did notice then, especially in the lower gears, is that when I started doing that, I would feel like there's more torque in the mid-range and low end. compared to before. So what I mean by that is it just feels like the car is, again, a little bit more peppy. It just feels like it wants to pull a little bit harder. Like that torque, like it peaks and it holds that, versus before it necessarily didn't feel like that. It felt a little bit more numb in that, you know, type of driving habit. Very hard to describe, but now with the unlocked TCU, it feels like the torque peaks up and then it holds that, it maintains that throughout the power band there. So definitely one of the bigger things that I've noticed there. And then I would say the biggest difference, guys, is launching the car. It follows that same exact description that I just mentioned, where the torque peaks, it kicks in, and it holds and maintains. You definitely feel it, like it feels stronger. I think if I were to give it like an actual comparison to how hard the car launches now with the TCU tune, I would say it launches maybe about 2 to 3 times harder. It reminds me of that RS3 we test drove in a video a while back. Tunezilla did release a video of them doing it on a Golf R in their shop, and that's kind of one of the words that they use. They said the launch just feels more violent. Now I fully feel it, and I agree with that statement 100%. Car will boost up right, you'll hold that launch control, 4,000 RPM. The moment you let off, boom, it kicks you back in your seat, it throws you back right away, and it feels like the TCU actually understands and knows what to do now compared to before. Before, with the TCU patch that I have, the high torque foul patch, not saying that was bad, it's definitely still drivable and gets the job done for what it is, right? But now, when it comes to that high RPMs and the car's kind of spinning the tires a little bit and the TCU is trying to figure out what to do, I feel like now it knows exactly how to handle that. It keeps the RPMs high and it holds and maintains. It just pulls really, really nice. Immediately, on the very first launch, I already knew that this car was missing out on a lot. The Mark 8R and 8Y S3 turbos is so potent, guys. It's like a miniature hybrid turbo from factory. It has good spool time, good response, some decent top end, not like my GTI did, but it has some decent top end, again, for a completely stock factory turbo. So just combining all of that, the missing link definitely was the TCU tune. And it's one of those things that it's all pros and no cons. It's kind of one of those buy once, cry once type of purchases where it's just like, you know, you have to do it, but you don't want to spend the money. Again, you don't have to do it. You can either run a low torque file or a high torque patch file. But if you're going to be getting on this thing and you want to have back-to-back consistent pulls, definitely do the TCU upgrade. And then, you know, it's also like peace of mind too, so you're not damaging your DSG clutches. So I didn't think I was going to like this mod as much as I did. I knew it would be fun, but I didn't think it would make much of a big difference, especially like on the lower and launching and all that. This is where it really shines, guys. The lower gears, the better. From the highway pulls and all that, and the difference, you know, it's kind of wishy-washy. I mean, you still feel something, again, with the way how it pulls in the mid-range, where like the torque, how it holds it. But the launch is where it really gets you guys. It's so nice. And now there's 2 different launch modes, and I'll showcase those later on. But essentially, with the Tunezilla map now, we've got a launch at 4K, and then we got a launch at, I think it's around like 33 or 3500 RPM. So 2 different launch controls there. We can pick and choose. I did try the 3000, the 3K RPM launch one time, and that still felt like it pulled pretty strong, but I haven't had the chance to fully test that out yet. But using the traditional 4000 RPM, boom, you hit that, holds it, it goes, and it just feels really, really nice. One more thing I did notice is that in between the shifts now, I don't know if it's because this is how fast it's shifting, but there's some slight more like aggressive sound tone from the exhaust in between shifts. It's like an exhaust pop, and it sounds really nice with the Trackslag downpipe that we have, that's catless. It's just like the sweet spot combo, guys. Like, I'm so happy with how far this car is coming along right now. Now, when it comes to like the shift speed and all that, they mentioned that that was going to be reduced. Originally, I thought that meant that when you press the paddles, it would be more instantaneous. I didn't necessarily feel that much of a difference. Not saying that this is bad. It still kind of feels like OEM with like the response times on shifting, like upshifting at least. Downshifting feels a tad quicker. But the actual shifting itself, like once it actually decides to do it between the gears, again, you get that pop, a little more aggressive. Just something to know, guys. Just giving you my honest thoughts and opinions on this thing. We'll get some testing done very, very soon when it comes to like data and draggies and all that. We're gonna do that very, very soon. Anyways, let's go ahead and get some driving clips for you guys.